Chabusia yenchi on ensan somo akwa bemre channel so hada so ye be media je Chabusia e papa eye Daniel Domelevo yes abusia for break silence wa cancel or the same dia baba to jo chene nsemu a wo hwe Npp under the administration of our former president Nana Akufo-Addo from 2017 to 2024 abusia ochira krono na de nkofo we ya bobi papa to the extent say nipa ba akofo etumi efasika hwe abusia wadi nkomo wakasa na ochira from 1990s no join eye politics no abusia utumi ho sesika sem no do krono no na ewo hode na emom na sika no enhyeda anya akese sa kakra sa na yasoso so na edibe wura 2000 sa so na 2000 krono ekoso na abusia na krono no chese sika no ehya sese peja na be wura ye 2017 anana do baji akonwa ono na appointees no abusia te 2024 de abusia for ose sika ne de chese na odinsem bi de atojo oche ne semu a prosecution ne de ye be sha ase obebe di dwuma ora no a handle eye bibiara e de ama eye attorney general na ora no enye investigations no mum omo de omo eje reports na abusia osisisi no omo handle bibia de ama eye attorney general prosecutions no ebe sha ase enya asem poto na list ne de ni na ehye eye attorney general ensa na abusia we de am kasa pase ekọ Kukuti nsemo a ye papa Daniel Domelevo a member of the oral team abusuan odi atudwa we yembe hyew papa ye di nkomo na abusuan wo hwe nia Npp within the past 8 years brombe boy ye pa na wo hwe sene papa esi kasa any amount of money abusuan they are mentioning there utumu say yes this people has really done something to Ghanaians. In fact ochira akofo yi agiga na brone papa abusia papa ya di nkomo wakasa yenkone ntie ne nsamo a ode atudwa emresesia yeras.
Also joining us on Zoom we have Daniel Domelevo, a former Auditor General of the Republic of Ghana and also a member of the oral preparatory team joining us, and the board chair of the Economic and Organized Crime Office (EOCO). Daniel Domelevo, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity.
Great, it's good to have you. Mezano, you said that all these properties are alleged to have been acquired through this said criminal enterprise. Doesn't surprise you, including the over 60 luxury bags and 1.5 million and over watch that Attorney General said.
No. I mean,
it doesn't surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me.
What else do you need to be surprised?
The figures are shocking, but no, because you see, I think we need to do some social research.
You want to say something?
Yes, the figures are huge and mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised.
Exactly.
Why am I not surprised? It's because there have been no consequences for misbehavior for a very long time. People have been getting away with this all over the years. So people are just taking it from one level to another. When I joined the public service in the early 90s, there were stealings, embezzlement was left and right, but amounts were quite small. Come to the 2000 era, the figures started rising. Now see where we are. One person takes an amount which you cannot even think about. It is unfathomable to expect that one person will steal all those monies. You don't even know what they do with the money. So I'm not surprised. It's because there are no consequences for misbehavior in the public sector. We must make everything possible to hit any other person who steals public funds. We are not angry enough as Ghanaians. I don't think this is acceptable. We have bad roads, we have hospitals not functioning, schools not functioning, etc. A lot of infrastructure we need, and people who are put in public positions to solve these problems rather appropriate these resources for their personal use is terrible. So the amounts are mind-boggling, but I'm not surprised that is happening. And if you don't take time, one day we wake up and we are told that total consolidated fund is gone. There's no money left in it.
Oh, you fear we'll get to that point, that the total consolidated fund will be looted?
Yeah, because they have a huge percentage. You calculate the percentage that Auditor General comes out with each year. It's huge. So when you reach 100%, it means everything is gone. We will be having no money to run our schools, run our roads, run our hospitals, etc. But it is time Ghanaians become very, very disturbed. and hold government accountable and call for changes in the legal system so that we can get this done as quickly as possible. That is why, if you permit me, I will say that in my personal view, I appreciate what Attorney General and all the anti-corruption agencies are doing to hold people accountable, including filing cases against them at the courts. But there are some legal amendments, if we don't make, we are going to go nowhere. One of them is the reverse burden. In fact, if you have unexplained wealth, that should be enough for us to convict you. If Daniel is earning 20,000 a month, at the end of the year it's 240,000, assuming he doesn't even spend any money. So how come that Daniel within a year has 20 million in his account? That should be enough for us to convict people. If we don't pass those laws, and again, put a time limit on trials. If you go to Nigeria, they have made a good progress. The Supreme Court in Nigeria, based on Section 306 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, and then Section 40 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission Act, has prevented stay of proceedings. They say there will be no stay of proceedings in criminal cases. So we should apply that, if not to all criminal cases in Ghana, at least to corruption-related cases. To say, once we start trying you on corruption, you can't go to a higher court and come back and tell us that stay proceedings, let me finish my appeal before you continue, so that we can bring finality. And a law must guide us. If China could convict somebody within 3 months, Ghana, we should also be able to convict somebody at least within a year. If we can't do 3 months, we can't do 6 months, we can't do 9 months, 12 months, we must be able to bring it to an end. Because until we do that, the prayer of the criminals and their lawyers is that they will continue dragging the case until there's a change in administration or government. Then you hear Nolly prosecutor, and then the case drops off and our money is gone. So that is the challenge we face, and I think these changes are very necessary. And since we don't only want to fight corruption in terms of monies that have already been stolen, but also to prevent additional stealing, I'm also calling that we should amend the Internal Audit Act, Agency Act, to make the internal auditors independent of the principal spending officers, so that they can provide proper assurance, not fearing that their salaries will remain the same, or they will be transferred out of their duty stations, or they will not get promotions, or they can even be sacked. We must do that. These are low-hanging fruits. That is what I mentioned the last time, that 9 months gone, and people didn't understand that I said 9 months we should receive proceeds from the corruption. No. I was saying that there are low-hanging fruits, legal amendment or changes, which can go to Parliament quickly. We pass it so to make the legal framework conducive for fighting corruption.
I see, because it's a very important point you make about the period of prosecution, because before you joined us, there had been proposals that there should be some reforms to ensure that at least 6 months, maximum 1 year, would have finished, you know, and concluded on cases, specific cases on corruption, so that at least there'll be some speedy trial to it, instead of having cases run 4 years, 8 years. And as one of my panel members indicated, these accused persons, they have deep pockets, so they can get the best of lawyers who know how to maneuver the legal system to prolong cases. And we may never see the end of it.
I cannot agree more with the person who made the point. And then they don't, not only lawyers that they can procure, they even can procure judges. So the judge see your case so bad, and you say, okay, what I can do to help you is that I'll keep adjourning it until there's a change in government. When your party comes, then they can throw it out. So the judges can also be part of it. In fact, I think that if we cannot do the same thing like 3 months or 6 months, even let's put it at 9 months or even a year, I have no problem. But this instance of, we can establish that the gentleman has in his or her, the lady has in her possession property that cannot be explained in any circumstances as related to genuine sources of income, but the trial continue going, I think is not helpful. So judges who also preach this must be guilty of misconduct, because the law says try the case, finish within a year. You go beyond a year, it should be a ground for you being cited for misconduct, so that there will be sense of urgency But also, I would like to plead that we must increase the capacity for the justice delivery system. If the Supreme, the judiciary, they need more judges. In fact, I saw 824 or so lawyers being called to the bar. They should recruit some of them, even if it is on part-time basis. Some lawyers can become judges and start hearing cases in the evening. We don't have to all go to court at 9 o'clock and by 3 or 4 o'clock we all close. No, we must change the system. The 24-hour economy should start in the judiciary also, so that we can get part-time judges, so that they can come and sit and hear these cases, and we bring finality to them as quickly as possible. Because the fact that the money is not yet in the consolidated fund, it cannot be put to the use that the taxpayer paid for it to be put to. So the earlier, the better. It is said in the judiciary, justice delayed is justice denied. So we are being denied justice by delaying these things. And I think we should all call for this low-hanging fruit. This is the easiest thing to be done. We just need a bill to go to Parliament and a certificate of agency, and it will be passed, and you have a robust system to fight corruption, and it will bring deterrence. People will see that we are now serious, and people will not play with our public funds anymore. Thank you.
I see. But then you were one-time Auditor General, and you make this proposal of an amendment to the Internal Audit Agency Act so that auditors will be independent of the principal spending officers. There was a question that I asked earlier of why, if every year you, as Auditor General, you're responsible for auditing all of these state agencies, you put out a report which becomes a subject of conversation every year. You capture irregularities and infractions and so on. And yet you are unable to uncover this depth of infractions or malfeasance. It has to take further forensic audit and further investigation to uncover institutions that you, Auditor General, has audited. That's concerning, is it not? Because then they have to wait for after 4 years, 8 years, when there's a change in government, there's a certain level of commitment now to go into further the audit report that Auditor General has put together, which does not uncover this extent of rot in state-owned enterprises or agencies of state. Mr. Domelevo.
Thank you very much. I think I need to explain something for fellow Ghanaians to understand. If you look at the mandate of the Auditor General under Article 187, especially Clause 2, it covers not just the central government, the district, the universities, almost all government institutions. Then you go to Clause 5. It requires that the Auditor General finishes his audit and submit his report to Parliament within 6 months after the end of the financial year. So one may even think that Auditor General got 6 months. No. When the financial year ends, the Public Financial Management Act gives the ministries, department, agencies 2 months to prepare their accounts. So they take 2 out of the 6. It's left with 4. Then the Public Financial Management Act gives the Accountant General 3 months. So another 1 month added to that of the MDAs. So it is left with 3 months. So the Auditor General is supposed to audit the accounts of the entire government, from Accra to Bunkurugu to Bolga to Elebu, and submit the report within 6 months. Therefore, in the course of these audits, a lot is left. In fact, the audit is done by sampling. We don't do census. It's sampling. So he goes there and pick a few transactions, review them, and see whether they are okay. So that is why later on, when we are doing a special audit, you will see that it reveals a whole lot of things. And gladly or thankfully, Section 16 of the Audit Service Act provides that in the national interest, the Auditor General can do special audits. So that's why we do special audits. Even though we have audited the institutions, but information or intelligence shows that there is more to it, and that cannot be captured within the audit period, The Auditor General is mandated to commission special audits. That's where you find some of these things coming out and are mind-boggling. But again, let me say, the Constitution that gives this mandate to the Auditor General, the same article, Article 187, under Clause 7, also requires that the Auditor General, anytime he come across these infractions, should disallow and surcharge people. If there are no consequences for misbehavior, these abuses or infractions will continue to a level of impunity as we are seeing it today. You hear some figures and you are tempted to say, no, this is not true. But they are true. People are stealing public funds as if they have no head. And you ask yourself, what do you do with all these monies? It's because there are no consequences. So we must, as a country, put in place these low-hanging fruits by changing the legal framework, make internal auditors independent. The burden of proof moves to you, the accused. Once we can establish beyond reasonable doubt that that property belongs to you, then you must tell us how you acquired it, and then we put time limit within which these trials can be done. I think immediately it will bring deterrence in the public sector. Currently, there is no deterrence. People are not afraid. They've seen people who have done worse things and getting away with it. So they are doing it. We must change the way we are going.
If the law empowers the Auditor General to surcharge and disallow as one of the deterrents or the punishments to this misbehavior, why are we not seeing much of it?
I think you may have to call the Auditor General to answer that.
All right, Abusia, or family nana mugusu and she. Abusia, your sources on subscribe, I be subscribing or like it, no see Jumadi, so I'm off phone so to me, I should be. Abusia can send Pina, Yanko tea and some more, or the source, so me dance.
When I was Auditor General, I think I was doing it. But you remember, I can hazard an opinion if you want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
Yes, I keep saying that if you fight corruption, corruption will fight you back. The accounts have a nice proverb that the tree which fruit Anansi ate and died, the child in Tikuma doesn't go and sleep under that tree. So he knows what happened to me when I was doing it. So maybe he's afraid of it. But the president, fortunately, has provided a better environment now. He has opened the door to say, let's do it. And has even called in the Chief Justice and the Attorney General and say, let's establish even specialized courts for the audit report. So I think the Auditor General should hit the road very hard. And I think that will bring deterrence. If you abuse public funds, disallow and surcharge. If the person doesn't agree, he should go to court and battle with the Attorney General once you continue your audit. I think if we go on that route, I think we shall make progress in less than 6 months. If you start seeing how they are holding ministers, directors, chief directors, etc. accountable, people will sit up whenever they see public funds. They don't like to touch it.
Mesano, Adam Sano is with us in the studio, by the way. You were saying that, yes, on the same part, you are not surprised. You just think that...
I think he shared my sentiments exactly, that I'm no longer surprised when I hear this. Because if somebody could get 27 houses in 4 years, then what is not possible? But the shock is the figures. The shock is indeed the figures, that the impunity and the boldness, the audacity appears just to be increasing. I'm just reflecting and saying, look, this Bonnie and Clyde thing, clearly, it's a reflection of the moral and ethical temperature in the country. We should look beyond just saying it's even an MPP thing and so on and so forth, and do some social research. We used to say behind every successful man is a woman. Looks like we are throwing that away. Now it's becoming very blurred and confusing. And we seem to have a culture of copycat corruption, which is being fueled by the lack of consequences, as Mr. Domelevo is saying. Copycat corruption. And you know, in our terrain, entrepreneurs, you see somebody do something, it looks like it's successful. Everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Looks like that's what's happening. Maybe on a platform, say, oh, we did it this way, it was successful. And then very soon, so many people are doing it, then it's exposed. I think that we need to do some more thinking around this kind of misbehavior. Somebody was pointing out recently that if this is what oral has shown, can we imagine what a post-tenure asset declaration audit will show? Let me see. Listen, we just last year into this year, we had a transition government. It means that persons who exited were supposed to have gone and done their final asset declaration. Is that correct?
That's the expectation.
Has anybody gone to dig into that? Do you know what we might uncover? What kind of Pandora's box that will show? So what even oral has brought us is probably the tip of the iceberg.
That's true.
The special courts thing, let me say for the record, Kenya, I was there earlier in the year, they have 12 anti-corruption specialized courts with a target of 6 months. And they are working. When they talk about the retrievables, in fact, that was for them the success. The amounts of monies they've retrieved. Because they have a clear legal framework for the bargaining out of court settlement. They have it there. And it's not just about collect some. Try and get 100% plus a fine. The fine itself might be the sanction, or else you go and do some jail term. You know. So there are examples in Africa, not outside Africa, not the US. In Africa, in Kenya, in Zambia. Target of 6 months, sitting daily. The lack of sanctions, the lack of practical sanctions is breeding impunity. So if you look at the figures have just been on the rise. Anytime you see a case, then you say, $1.6 million.
Mind-boggling.
Mind-boggling. And who gets the confidence to just have the money transferred into their accounts? It's obviously because they think it will not be uncovered, or else they are thinking that by the time it becomes a public issue, they would have invested, made 100%, turned it over, so that even if you put me in jail, my money is still sitting there. And we need to think about these things. So the specialized courts for me are very important. I also think that, look, this whole issue of we are not too certain whether at the end of the day some of these cases will be seen to completion or not. Let's be patient. Let's begin to strategize. Look, we agree that you will not cover all the oral cases. How else can we deploy other agencies to make sure that these issues are looked at? At the same time, making sure that the enforcement, the examples of the sanctions, that's, I think, the major gap. And I listened to Mr. Domelevo, and I think that's true. At the moment, who is being sanctioned? What are the levels of sanctions? The reason why COPO is so important. So can we get this government to seriously take up completing the COPO? Let's make sure the sanctions are clear. When we take public officers to court, there's no argument about what sanctions and how punitive they are. It will serve as a detriment.
COPO, full meaning. So I said the
Conduct of Public Officers Bill. The Conduct of Public Officers Bill needs to be revisited, completed, passed with clear sanctions. So when they get to court, there is no confusion as to what it is. And let's publicize it. I think this is a platform. Let's publicize the sanctions, because it looks like the confidence with which people are doing things now is getting totally out of, you can't just imagine it.
And publication of the assets that are declared.
Yes.
So when the public officer declares his assets, they must be published on a website. So somebody in Zwarungu or Boko can Google and see it. So that if he finds that Zato has 25 houses in Boko and 3 in Accra, and he declared only 3.
Why Boko from Tumu? Say
I see.
If I'm building Tumu, I'm not building Boko. I'm not from.
So that then the person will go and.
But so I just want to find what's the difficulty, okay? In, for instance, you know that a public officer earns this much in let's say 20,000 or 25,000. And then by end of year, is there any way to track how many houses, for instance, they build, or what properties are within their name? Or we have to
verification. So that's why we've asked for in the new bill.
And that's why we are saying
is in
verification, publication, verification and publication, plus reverse burden. Don't make it the state's responsibility to come and prove that you've done something wrong.
Audit.
You should come and indicate to us how you were legitimately able to fund this asset and that expenditure.
Like the Siciliada power.
Exactly.
Mr. Domelevo, you had your hand raised. Let me just take this quickly. Yes, you wanted to make a point.
Yes, I cannot agree more with my colleagues in the studio. The Conduct of Public Officers Bill was in place or had been drafted before I became Auditor General in 2016. I remember early 2017, I sent some comments to be included there. As we speak today, it is still not yet an act. I can't understand. I remember Nana Akufo-Addo deceived us that he was going to give us an international standard one, and that was the end. We are now 10 months into a new administration, and we need that law. This is a low-hanging fruit. If government is really committed to ensure that public officers behave and behave properly, then we need it. The point my colleagues were making, let me also come in. For instance, I went and declared my assets when I was appointed a chairman of the Yoku. And after I declaring, I said, this is a complete waste of my time. How do you say I've declared my assets to the Auditor General just by filling forms and giving to him? How can he verify that the houses are 1 or 2 or 3 or 20 on a plot? So whatever I say is the end of it. And if we think that that can help us fight corruption, then I think we are joking. We need a better law. For instance, the Auditor General is not God. So if you go to him and you say you own only 1 house in Accra, that is all. That is what he is going to take. But if it is published, then people from his village will say, but the village house building is not in the asset declaration. Then some people in Kumasi or Bolga may say, but we know Domelevo has this house. He comes there. How come he's not having it there? So we need to be serious. And I've been telling people in public service who don't like this, it is not compulsory. Nobody puts a gun at your head to say that go and serve in the public service. If you can't comply with it, go into your private sector and do your business or whatever you want to do. But if you want to play the game, but then you must go by the rules of the game. That is necessary. And government must make it a point to prove to Ghanaians that there are consequences for misbehavior in the public sector. People are getting away with murder for too long. So even if you take the Auditor General's report, even administrative sanction, people don't get it. People do things and they just get away with it. Some come on TV and even they don't show any remorse. It doesn't even occur to them that their misbehavior is reprehensible. And we keep doing the same thing. And like my friend Sinanu said, they are now digging. But I said on Joy FM, and I'll say the same thing. I said, we will wake up one morning and Minister of Finance will tell us that, sorry guys, the total consolidated fund has been stolen. So there is no money for anything. Because people are stealing in proportions that you can't easily apprehend or comprehend, sorry. So I think we must get serious. There are some low-hanging fruits. The legal framework, I think, is not conducive for fighting this type of graft. We must change the reverse burden. We must limit the trial period. We must make auditors, internal auditors, independent. We must capacitate the judiciary. And we must allow the judiciary to even sit after hours. What stops a judge from starting his case at 6 o'clock or 8 p.m.? The courtroom, the building is there. When the judge goes away, another judge can come in. 24-hour economy. So if we do this, I think it will bring about sanity in the public sector. Thank you.
Great point there. Thank you. It's just there's no consequence for misbehavior. Essentially, that's what is fueling what we're saying now. Gentlemen, I'll come to you before you leave us about why you say we are not angry enough and what you want to see. So stay with me. Yes, Dr. Zato.
Yeah, Mr. Domelevo, I like your back. I like the picture at the back. It looks very nice. It looks like the Eiffel Tower. Are you in Paris or what?
You want to disclose my location?
You see? Thank you.
This is not an asset. So
and I must say, thank you very much for all the wonderful work you've been doing for God and country. Let's keep it up. These things, we must keep them up. Must keep fighting. Personally, when I see these monies, I'm scandalized. There's nobody who can see these monies and not be scandalized. Because if you understand that these monies were meant for some of the most vulnerable in society, posterity will judge Akufo-Addo fairly, will be happy with him with the free justice. Posterity will say that you brought this in and it changed lives. It was a policy that was celebrated throughout the whole of Africa. But the food issue came and actually made that policy difficult to use to campaign for the Npp in the 2024 elections. Because all you had to do was just see the food, and parents see it. So in 2024, again the elections, the whole of the NPP was on the defensive, on the policy that they brought that was so good. So to me, to tell me that these figures, if they were, I asked somebody, are they real, is it like real money, or is it that the accountants find a way to come out? I'm asking, is it like you could find this money in an account?
Yeah. Well, is that, for instance,
like I'm trying to understand.
Because to the companies.
For the 5-bedroom, the AG says much of it was paid with cash.
Because I'm thinking, if they imagine these monies were used to actually pay to actually feed the students, some of them. Then probably the MPP could have made some marginal gains in the last election. I'm not saying I won't bet it's possible. But like people, if parents, if a mother or a father sees that their child, because see, free education is also a poverty alleviation tool.
Sure.
It's a poverty alleviation tool. So that if I can't feed my, at least for about 8 months in a year, the government is feeding my child well, that is a burden taken away from me. So as I said, I'm scandalized by this, and I'm also happy about it. But there's something else that has happened here that I like. The investigation of this was done in a humane way. For the first time, they didn't treat this guy like we saw. We didn't see Rambo style, run to his house, arrest him, we didn't see that. That means that it is possible for our investigative organizations to do a humane, professional investigation without terrorizing innocent citizens.